So this is my review for Blood for the Master by Goatwhore. So, Blood for the Master was released on February 13th, 2012, though for some reason in interviews from that time period, a lot of people thought that it came out on Valentine's Day. I mean, close enough, I guess. In various interviews that I watched with Ben Fogu, he's quoted as having stated basically that it wasn't intentional, it just turned out that way. Either way, though, the album starts out immediately in what seems like a punch in the junk, or a punch in the pussy, which could summon blood for the master. This was Goatwhore's fifth album, and the third one to be produced by Eric Rutan. It's a relatively short album at only 38 minutes and however many seconds, but the 37 to 40 minute area seems to be the sweet spot for Goatwhore. This time around, on bass, they had James Harvey, who really seemed to change things around. James seemed to be a breath of fresh air in the band, and his playing style seemed to be a lot more naturally in tune with Zach and Sammy's playing styles. James had this rock and roll type of style, which perfectly melded with Zach's drum style, which is kind of the same thing. What I also liked about James's playing was that he naturally was the rhythm to Sammy's guitar playing. You could tell that he just naturally knew what to do on that album. And I think that something should be said too of the way that this album is mixed. I'm not sure what happened between this one and the previous one with Carving, but this one is mixed so much better than its predecessor, as each instrument is equal. I mean, even Benjamin's voice is equal to the other members. I don't need to turn on an equalizer just to hear somebody. Naturally, James's bass is audible and clearly there. You just have to know what you're looking for. Parasitic Scriptures of the Sacred Word is a fun and punky song. It really marks the beginning of the cycle of Goatwhore, where they endured this thrashy punk sound, which became popular in this era, the 2010s. I can't help but actually become a bit nostalgic when I think of this time period. I graduated high school in 2011, and I remember just going to the record store with my first boyfriend. We'd browse the records at Ernie November's in Rapid City, South Dakota. And on the speakers, music like this and the same sort of tune would be playing. I remember this era of, I guess you would call, neo-thrash, if that's what you want to call it, becoming quite popular in the metal scene back in the 2010s. I remember going to concerts in 2015 and 16 that would have bands that played in this similar style. I remember this era of metal quite well and find myself just very nostalgic looking back, looking back on it. In many ways, this album reminds me of those nights walking around downtown San Antonio, waiting for a show to start, or going to the Corova when I went to see Deicide and other bands. That album reminds me of those days that I went to the Aztec Theater to see various bands there, like Steel Panther, Down, Obituary, and of course, Cannibal Corpse. In some ways, this album is like a bittersweet memory of the past. I'm not that fond of the song Judgment of the Bleeding Crown. It's not bad, but it just doesn't groove to me. Beyond the Spell of Discontentment is the same to me. Not bad, but I personally just don't care for the blatant brute force of the riffs. Granted, I love the riff at the 2-minute mark, though, of that song, where it gets a little bit of that Kundalini in it. But I'm a sucker for any time that Sammy bends his guitar strings. I really am. My absolute favorite song, though, from this album is Death to the Architects of Heaven. It's like water in some ways, the way it just flows. I don't know why they never played this song live out of all of the shows that I've been to, because I honestly think this would be a perfect song to hear live. It grooves, it's thrashy, it's punky, and dare I say, it's something to shake your ass to. This song is a great example of actually the genius that Sammy Duet is capable of. I don't know what magic happened for this song to come out this way, but just something perfect happened here, honestly. I think that this is among one of I think that this is among one of Goatwhore's greater songs. Seriously. What makes this song a bit different too is that Sammy's playing is like a storm, yes, but not in the usual frozen rain type of way that is on the rest of the album, and actually the one before it, and then the one after that. This song is more like a summer storm where the water is cool but not freezing, where the softness of the water will break on your skin and does not hurt, but there is still that danger of drowning. And the song right after that, An End to Nothing, is also a really good one too. It's really short song, but it's really fun and it's really punky. I think this is a really good one too. I don't recall them ever playing this one live at any of the shows that I went to, though I wish that they did. I think that, I mean, I could, knowing them or knowing how their shows would go, I could see this being one of the opening songs to their act if they did play it live. I know that this would be a good one live because people would be thrashing around probably in the pit, surely. I'm sure of that one. The final song on the album, My Name is Frightful Among the Believers, is an interesting one. Not because of anything different instrumentally, but it oddly reminds me of Anton LaVey. Believe it or not, yes. Strangely enough, this song is 4 minutes and 11 seconds long. And Anton LaVey was born on April 11th. Even to this day in 2025, there are evangelists that will use his name as some sort of boogeyman, making him frightful among the believers. Probably a complete coincidence, but I thought that it was interesting to note. The lyrics are obviously about apocalyptic themes, though. I don't really have much to say about the album's lyrics. It's the same thing that you would normally expect from Ben Folgu. He remains in the realm of the esoteric and anti-Christian, though you start to see on this album his writing take a turn to fit more of the cadence of Sammy's guitar playing. This doesn't abbreviate the length of what is written, believe me, but the style more so. To me, reading through his lyrics, you see Benjamin become a bit more in tune with writing for the style of a song and just a smidgen. I hope that I can see that on camera. Let's see. Anyway, whatever. Just a smidgen less of the verbose flow of literature that he's accustomed to. And no, that's not a stab at him either. Anyway, so Blood for the Master marks the first of Goatwhore's albums to have art created by Jordan Barlow. I'm pretty sure. I don't think he was on the previous one. Jordan Barlow was a tattoo artist and a musician in his own right, who would later go on to be employed for the next 3 Goatwhore albums after this one, at least as of 2025. I think that he was a great choice for becoming their album artist, as Barlow has, just naturally, his own very esoteric style and interest himself in it, you know. This seems to be something that him and Benjamin seem to probably have bonded over, as you see a lot of the lyrics represented through Barlow's art in the next releases also. On the back of the album, you see more of Jordan's artwork. It's not just like, oh, the back is just a black screen. No. What's interesting to me is that there are sigils of the band's names at the bottom of the hourglass. You'll see the sigil for, you don't see the sigil for anybody else typically nowadays. But in order, I believe it is Benjamin, Sammy, Zach, and James Harvey. The only person you ever see use their sigil from this album on anything is Sam, though. Anyway, but I will say I think that Benjamin's sigil is very, very clever because it's like Neptune's trident that creates the B and then part of the N and of course the E. And him being a Pisces, a water sign, he's also ruled by Neptune or Poseidon. So it's very, very clever. I think his sigil is incredibly clever. Inside of the hourglass is what I would call like a grand falloon. You know, something that you see from like Castlevania, or of course where the term comes from, Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut. It's just like this blob of mourning souls and the hourglass of time. Overall, though, I think that Blood for the Master, it's a good album. It's fun and punky at times and nostalgic for that early 2010s era. If you were the type to go to shows during this time period for any band, this album might remind you of that. Personally, I enjoy this album if I'm like driving. This is a good driving on the highway type of album, you know, because it's fast and you're just trying to go, 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 right? And that's how this album is. It's fast and go, go, go. Do I think it's the best Goatwhore album? I don't know. Probably not. But that doesn't mean it's bad. My personal favorite isn't even any of the Eric Rutan albums. Actually, that's not true. I think this is a good album that was an incredible introduction for James Harvey. This was an incredible introduction for him, not only into, I think, just music in general, but for the band that we know as Goatwhore.